We're tracking heavy rain and several flood alerts. That's why today is a new WRAL Weather Alert Day. Then brand new model plots for Tropical Storm Erin.
Upgraded murder charges for 2 people accused in a boating accident that killed a 10-year-old girl in Harris Lake. Then 2 people shot inside a Durham apartment complex. We have an update on the victims' conditions and new information from police. A flash flood warning in effect for Wake County until 9 o'clock. Flash flood warnings and advisories really in effect all over our area tonight.
And you can see why. On the left side of your screen there, you can see storms just about everywhere on the radar. On the right, that is Carr Lake in Granville County, and the rain is really coming down pretty heavily there. Thank you for joining us at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan Haggerty.
And I'm Ashley Rowe. And all of this is why we now have a WRAL Weather Alert Day. We've had reports of flooded roads, water rescues, and crashes out on the roads as well.
Let's start our coverage with meteorologist Kat Campbell. It's been a really active afternoon, and it just keeps picking up.
I mean, this has been the year of flooding, it seems, right? And it's another WRAL Weather Alert Day with several flood advisories and flash flood warnings. The flash flood warning for Raleigh and much of Wake County stays in effect until 9 p.m. This is a different flash flood warning. It expires a little earlier. The key here is that it is still raining everywhere in the triangle for this evening. However, the heavier rain is starting to shift to the north. So we are seeing some slight improvements. However, do be prepared for flooded roadways. If you encounter one, turn around and find a safer route home. We've also got flash flood warning in northern Franklin County, up into Vance County, where we are starting to get some reports of flooded roadways. Southern Granville County dealing with that heavy rain band as well. All of these flood alerts still in effect, even including Moore County, where there's a flood advisory in the area. Look at this area of yellow showing up in northern Franklin County, bordering Vance County. 4 to 6 inches of rain there estimated by the radar. And we do have some ground truth to some of these reports of 2 to 4 inches. NC State, Cary about 2 inches. Walnut Creek nearly 3.5 inches of rain. RDU, Zebulon, Goldsboro all saw over 2 inches of rain. This will gradually clear out tonight. It'll be slow to do so, but the rain should gradually lighten up. And then our next focus is this. I'll have a closer look at when it becomes a hurricane and where it's headed coming up.
All right, Kat, let's take you live to where the rain is coming down. WRAL's Willie Danley is on Capitol Boulevard in downtown Raleigh. How's it looking there, Willie?
Well, Ashley, the rain is definitely coming down. It was coming down a bit harder just a couple of moments ago, but it's been a pretty consistent downpour. We drove here from Durham, and I'll tell you that we've seen multiple car accidents today and some flooding, especially in the downtown area here in Raleigh. On North Harrington Street, right near the Publix on Peace Street, there was a large flooding area that developed there. You can still see some of the remnants lingering behind. As you can see, the rain is coming down here in downtown Raleigh. We're going to continue to drive around this area and keep you up to date on these weather conditions. Back to you.
All right, Willie, thanks. Willie, thanks very much. This is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center, and we appreciate the pictures you're sending us of some of this flooding that's happening right now across Wake County on this WRAL Weather Alert Day. Take a look at that video from Harrington Street on the north side of downtown Raleigh. Some of that flooding that Willie was talking about earlier, and you can see where that driver hits that water and then wisely decides to turn around and not drive across that flooded road. Here's a look from Franklin County. Franklin County Emergency Management took this picture of a washout there on Clyde Pierce Road. You can see where the road is closed. Also in Wendell, some flooding and the 9th green there at the Wendell Country Club. Thanks to Lou Underhill for sending us that picture. And when you can safely send pictures and video of what's happening in your neighborhood, help us tell the story. Go to WRAL.com/report it.
Quite the pictures and video there, Brian. The WRAL weather app has all the radar and tropical updates you need. You can receive those alerts straight to your phone. Just make sure your notifications are turned on.
Murder charges now filed in connection to the boat crash on Harris Lake that killed a 10-year-old girl. Today, a grand jury indicted Quentin Kite and Anne Marie Flanagan on second-degree murder. Investigators say Flanagan owns the boat and Kite was driving it. WRAL's Eric Miller is live at Harris Lake right now. Eric, you spoke to the little girl's family and got some reaction to these recent charges.
Dan, just in the last 30 minutes, the Carroll's attorney actually shared a statement with me regarding those updated charges for that tragedy out here at Harris Lake. The Carrolls remaining pretty tight-lipped here, but they did want to extend their thanks to law enforcement, to investigators, and to the community for all of the support they've received during this incredibly trying time. Now, both Quentin Kite as well as Anne Marie Flanagan are both charged with second-degree murder. That's a pretty significant step up from where we were before. Kite was already facing charges for DWI as well as for killing somebody while operating a boat under the influence. Flanagan was facing charges for allowing Kite to operate that boat. Now, we've reached out to the district attorney there in Chatham County asking why those charges were upgraded now, whether that was new information that came to light or something else. We're still waiting to hear back on that. We've also reached out to the attorneys for Kite and Flanagan to ask their response to all of this. We'll bring you those answers as soon as we get them. At Harris Lake, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
Just such a heartbreaking story. Eric, thank you. Let's roll through some of today's other headlines. Here are 5 things you should know right now. 2 people went to the hospital today after being attacked by the same fox in Aberdeen. That fox is now being tested for rabies. The first attack happened on Midway Road. A woman stepped outside with her toddler and the fox ran out from under her car. 30 minutes later, one street over, the fox bit a 77-year-old man. Both victims got rabies shots just in case. Police located the fox and killed it. A man is dead. A woman has life-threatening injuries after a shooting in Durham. This was the scene at the Camden Point Apartments on Knox Street. Investigators have not said what led up to the shooting, but say there is no threat to the public. A huge sinkhole in Apex will be there for the foreseeable future. The DOT says they won't even have a timeline for the project until next month. DOT will have to relocate a water line, which requires paperwork first. They did determine an aging pipe under Olive Chapel Road failed during all that heavy rain last week.
In Cumberland County, they have a new interim sheriff. Major Jonathan Morgan is going to take over from Sheriff Ennis Wright, who retired in June. Wright took over when Sheriff Moose Butler retired, then won re-election in 2022. Morgan will serve until December of next year. The FDA is recalling some cookies sold at Target stores in 20 states, including ours here in North Carolina. It involves these packages of the Favorite Day Bakery frosted sugar cookies. The cookies could be contaminated by a foreign material, possibly wood. If you have them, you're asked to throw them away. So you sent in all kind of questions into the inbox over the past week, so we're going to answer a few of them and some interesting things that we found. After the break, we're talking flesh-eating bacteria, digital driver's licenses, and what happens to cars caught in floodwater.
But first, let's quickly look ahead at some of the stories we're keeping an eye on this week. Tomorrow, July's inflation numbers come out. June saw inflation at 2.7%. Forecasters expect something similar for July at 2.8%. Tomorrow, also, Wake Education's Tools for Schools event. Teachers can go and buy supplies for the next school year. They're also doing this on Thursday. Both events are from 1 to 4 p.m.
And on Friday, President Trump and Vladimir Putin are expected to meet in Alaska to discuss the war in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky asked to join the meeting. Trump agreed. Putin has not said either way. We're back after this. It is time for the Monday mailbag. This is the part of the show where we go into our inbox, we take your questions, we find some answers, and maybe some other interesting stuff along the way. So let's start tonight with a crazy story about flesh-eating bacteria at the North Carolina coast. It's called Vibrio. North Carolina has confirmed 7 infections so far this year. The risk is especially high during the summer in that warm, brackish water. That's that mix of salt and fresh water. A viewer named Marlo wanted to know, can you go to the local market at the Outer Banks, and is it safe to eat the shellfish if cooked? So Marlo, thank you for the question. A lot of people were confused about this. You can absolutely still go to those local seafood markets at the coast. You just need to be a little bit careful. The state health department and the CDC both have warnings about this Vibrio, saying do not eat raw or improperly cooked seafood, especially oysters. Now, why oysters, you might be wondering? Well, because of how they eat. They filter water over the gills and trap tiny plankton and algae and that sort of thing. But Vibrio can make it past that filter and could concentrate in the oyster's tissues. And that sounds, well, pretty gross. The point is, if you go to a seafood market, handle things carefully, whatever you buy. Don't let any of those juices from raw seafood fall onto other foods, and don't eat anything raw. Hot sauce and lemons aren't killing the bacteria. Only cooking can do that. So cook them, steam them, something like that. You know, it's just the way you got to do it. Next up, I got a couple of questions about the future of the DMV. You wanted to know about those digital driver's licenses, basically a driver's license that's right there on your phone. Bill asked, would you please look into it and see if and when digital licenses are coming to North Carolina? Bill isn't making this up because they were supposed to be here by now. Last year, Governor Cooper signed House Bill 199 legalizing these digital driver's licenses. That was supposed to be implemented on July 1st, but classic DMV. The plan is experiencing a few delays. But look, it's not just North Carolina that's lagging behind on this. According to the IDscan.net website, 22 states are in a similar position. They're still working on this technology. Those are the ones you see shaded yellow on this map. 10 states haven't made any moves on digital IDs. Those are in the red. And 18 states shaded in green already have mobile IDs. Louisiana, in fact, was the first. Theirs is called LA Wallet, or Le Wallet if you're fancy. They started rolling out mobile IDs since back in 2018. And today, nearly 1.5 million people have those mobile IDs in Louisiana, and it's working out pretty well. Their app holds driver's licenses, car registration, gun permits, all that sort of stuff. You can even use it to get through the line at airport security. North Carolina wants to do this too, but when it comes to the DMV, getting stuff done has appeared to be a bit of a challenge time and time again. Last week, the state auditor released a report on the DMV. It found all kinds of problems, all the stuff that we have known about for a while, especially if you've ever gone. The delays, the long lines, the lack of staffing, all that kind of stuff. But the audit also talked about the digital IDs, and it estimates a full launch won't happen until at least September of 2026. And the process could cost as much as $1.4 million with an annual maintenance cost of about $600,000 a year. The report also suggests launching a smaller pilot program, but these are all suggestions, right? It's up to lawmakers to actually move forward with any of this stuff. We'll be watching. Now, to a question we got after all that rain and flooding that we have seen in our area over the past few weeks that we continue to see even tonight. A viewer named Mary wrote in and asked, with all the flooded roads and parking lots, what happens to those vehicles that get flooded out? So that is a great question, Mary. WRAL's 5 on Your Side actually reported on this sort of thing a long time ago, and it has done so for a very long time. You see, people will often try to salvage those cars and then resell them at auction, but the cars must be branded as flood damaged on the title if they do that. Problem is, they don't always do that. Scammers will find a way around it. It's a problem 5 on Your Side, again, has been covering for a while, especially after Helene hit western North Carolina. So here's a quick clip from that story.
For months, 5 on Your Side has tracked 4 Helene flooded vehicles sold at auction, including the Camry. 3 had their titles branded as flooded, and everything worked the way it should. The 4th vehicle, this 2023 Chevrolet Traverse, was sold, but 4 months later, the title still hasn't been updated with the NCDMV, and the flood damage doesn't show up on a Carfax report or other vehicle history reports that we checked.
There could be a scammer that takes a water-damaged car to a state that has a more lax title branding and reporting standard. And when that happens, it could result in what is a clean title, or what many call, of course, title washing.
So what do you do, right? What if you were in the market for a used car? How can you tell if the car you're looking to buy has lingering flood damage? Even if it looks okay at first glance, they can do a good job of cleaning all that up. Well, 5 on Your Side covered that part of it too and put together this great how-to video.
First thing you want to do is come over to the front of the car. Inhale and see if there's any kind of moldy or musty smell. If you have that, you definitely want to walk away from the car. Next, pop up the trim panel on the side of the door here. If the carpet is dirty or if there's any kind of sediment in here or rust. We'll also look in the door pockets. If there's any kind of sediment in here or dirt or stones, that's what happened when the water came up and in the car, and as it drained away, it settled and hid in there. Pop off some of the caps and covers for the seat bolts. If these are scratched up or even look rusted, that means the seat was taken out so it can air dry. Look where a spare tire would be kept. If it's got sound deadening, smell if it's musty or moldy smelling. See if there's any rust on exposed screws, on the panels, or even on the tools like the jack or the jack stand. Look along the back of the engine bay, and there's some soft material here. It's sound deadening. When water rose and stays when the car is flooded, it's going to recede and leave a flood line. If there's anything like that, walk away from the vehicle.
All right, did you get all that? Some good advice there. Did you notice how I let 5 on your side do most of my reporting tonight? Look, work smart, not hard. What else does the news need to be covering? Send me an email, dan@WRAL.com. Your questions, your feedback, they drive this segment and this newscast here at 7 o'clock. So please tell me what is on your mind, and we will go in depth.
Always love some good tips from 5 on your side. Hey, I've been watching Fayetteville Street here, Kat, and I've been noticing that there are some windshield wipers still going. At least there's no flooding on this street.
On this street, that's good news here right outside of Jimmy V's. However, other spots in downtown Raleigh are typical low-lying spots near the train station, and Northern Harrington Street had some issues today due to flooding. The flash flood warning still remains in effect through 9 p.m. Some of the rainfall estimates between 1/2 inch and 1.5 inches, but we had stations on the ground reporting up to 3.5 inches of rain, and that's just on the east side of town in Raleigh, a little closer to Knightdale. Both of these flash flood warnings here, so encompassing pretty much all of Wake County now, stay in effect through 9 p.m. Raleigh points north as well included in this. The rain is not as heavy as it was earlier, but it is still raining. It's a steady rain out there. The heaviest rain is shifting to the north in Franklin, Vance, Granville counties, and it will continue to move to the north this evening. As it does so, we should gradually see this rain lighten up a bit and diminish. But tomorrow, there's another threat for flooding. Today, we were under a low-end threat for flooding, and look at how many flood advisories and flash flood warnings we had. Tomorrow, we are under a low-end threat for flooding as well, and a medium risk closer to the southern mountains. We'll be watching this closely. Meteorologist Mike Mays is going to look over the new model data tonight. He'll let you know at 10 o'clock on Fox 1511 on WRAL if we issue another WRAL weather alert day for tomorrow. In the morning, there could already be some rain as you head out the door. A 60% chance of rain tomorrow. That chance still pretty high on Wednesday and Thursday, but a bit more scattered. And then once we get to the weekend, we are trending a bit drier. It's not terribly hot. We were only in the 80s today, but it was humid, and it's going to stay humid. We'll be stuck in the tropical category for the next 5 days. And speaking of tropics here, we are watching Tropical Storm Erin. Here it is, all the way on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. Of course, here we are. There is over 3,100 miles between us and Erin. We've got a long time to track it. However, we like the trends that we've seen, not just this afternoon, but for the past couple of days. Models have been fairly consistent in recurving Erin to the north as a hurricane, with that curve starting on Sunday. However, given how far out this is, we still have plenty of time for that to change, so stay tuned for updates. In its current location, it wouldn't impact the U.S. until next week for sure, over 10 days away. So we've got a while to track it still. High temperatures tomorrow should be in the mid-80s again, as well as Wednesday due to all the cloud cover. Highs held back a bit by that and decent storm chances. Thursday and Friday with enough sun coming out, we are back in the 90s. It's been a little while since we've been there. Over the weekend, right on par with normal for August. Highs near 90, lows in the lower 70s. Rain chances do go down a bit for the weekend. That's a favorable trend for some of the outdoor plans. I know a lot of parents are trying to enjoy these last summer weekends before kids head back to school. And a lot of kids are going to be heading to college this week as well. So hopefully they can dodge some of those showers and storms for move-in.
All right, Kat, let's take a look here live at the WRAL Live Center. And one of those cameras out in Garner, as Kat mentioned, the heaviest rain has stopped in Wake County, but still, it is a steady rain. This is I-40 out at Jones Sausage Road, and you can see the spray getting kicked up there by the vehicles heading away from us on 40 eastbound. This is a live look out at 87 at New Hope Road. There was a crash out there about 2 hours ago that really led to some significant backups. It now has cleared, but still, we're looking at nasty driving conditions. And through the rest of the evening, as you see all of that rain over Wake County, it's going to be kind of a messy dinner commute for you. Back to you.
All right, Brian, thank you. One last thing for you tonight. Michael Jordan won $400,000 in a fishing competition over the weekend. But if the marlin reeled into his boat was just 1 pound heavier, the cash prize could have nearly tripled. That's next. One last thing before we go. Basketball legend and North Carolina native Michael Jordan may not play the game anymore, but he still finds ways to compete. You might know this. Jordan often participates in fishing competitions with his boat, the Catch 23.
Well, over the weekend, no surprise, he's good at it. So he and his team, they won $400,000 at the White Marlin Open in Ocean City, Maryland. Video here of the officials weighing the enormous marlin that Team Jordan caught off the coast. Can you imagine being on Team Jordan? That'd be fun. You can see fans lining the dock in the background trying to get a glimpse of MJ, but the real star might have been the fish. Came in at 71 pounds, good enough for second place.
Jordan actually didn't catch it himself. We have to clarify. His teammate Trey McMillan, otherwise known as Cricket, reeled it in. Here he is after learning the marlin was 71 pounds.
It was first thing in the morning, we were out there kind of just doing our thing. Cap said left teaser, slipped in the flat line, and that was all she wrote. It was pretty close, so we were we were hoping and praying, and it came true. So we were very thankful and happy for it.
That's all she wrote. Again, Jordan and Catch 23 won second place, so about $400,000 for that 71-pound marlin. The first place marlin was only 1 pound heavier. I mean, if you're really competitive, which we know he is, he must have been like, so mad. That cash prize was nearly $4 million.
I feel like second place should be a little, you know what I mean?
Oh, it's
That's
like
a big
golf
discrepancy.
Too. I know.
Anyway, keep fishing, Mike. You'll get there. Thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news. We'll see you back here later tonight.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.